Hello everyone, this is the Chubby Funster. Welcome to the 10th and final part of my deep analysis of Curse of Strahd. We've come a long way and covered a lot of ground, and now we are going to just one final location, the heart of the module itself, Castle Ravenloft. This is the map of the original Ravenloft module. The idea was that you would explore the town, then visit the castle. There were no other dungeons, there were no other towns. It was a very basic and effective design. There were two gates, which together trap you with the fog in the valley. I find it very interesting that they kept the western gate in place, even when they expanded the map as much as they did. It's like a vestigial limb that has no function anymore. That gate should be over here now, right? Now, the premise of this original module was that you were trapped here with no escape and a powerful villain. That's the horror of the module. And in Curse of Strahd, you start out in that same place, but what is in the castle is way too powerful for you to fight yet. And they've added all this territory to the west for you to build up your strength so you can come back and fight Strahd. They turned a horror module into a level grinder. But they kept the parts of the original castle design that were supposed to trap you in it, such as the dragons in the entryway and the gargoyles in the main hall. And they also kept in Strahd's invitation to come visit him in a black carriage. As I mentioned in an earlier video, there are no instructions on what to do if the players take him up on that offer. It's like they preserved everything they could from the original without thinking about how it would even be used or what needs to change based on the other changes that they made. It's very weird. The bottom line is that you cannot run this module like the original Ravenloft, where the PCs are trapped in the castle trying to find tools they need to kill Strahd, because remember, they scattered those tools all over the map. That's what the tarot card reading thing is all about. You might be putting all of the things they need to kill Strahd way out in different places, in Valaki, in Krezhik, in Yester Hill. You have no idea. So to maintain the horror of the original module, this entire map needs to become Castle Ravenloft. And you have to rethink the role of the actual castle. You can't just replicate what's in I6 Ravenloft. I'm going to offer you some suggestions to do it, but the goal here is to have the fewest possible adjustments, because this is a big book. I don't want you to have to be having the book and a list of changes to make. So we're going to try to be as terse and simple as possible. So we're going to keep the black carriage in place, and we're going to keep Strahd's offer to have dinner in place. But what we're going to do is make it a cyclical part of the adventure as a whole. And in order to do that, you're going to have to do what a lot of GMs are loath to do, which is keep track of time. Every Sunday, starting with the first Sunday that they are in Barovia, Strahd invites them to dinner. And if they decline, he'll be offended and attack them at some point during the week, brutally, retreating only after having killed one of the PCs. He's the ruler. You have to bend the knee to some degree. And when they do take him up on the offer, he feeds them well. He gives them a small pouch of electrum pieces bearing his image to compensate them for their time, and he allows them to sleep in the castle. And then he says he has to do something, and he leaves. Now, the players can choose to sleep through the night and leave in the morning, a totally viable option, and maybe they do that the first couple of times. But they can also choose to sneak around at night. This is dangerous. They could run into monsters, they could be injured, they could find interesting and valuable things, they could get caught. And as they explore, you're going to draw cards from the deck for every room, every action they take, and you place it face down on the table. Tensions are going to rise. And if you draw the Dark Lord, Strahd appears and he is pissed. He kills a PC and kicks the rest out of the castle, but next week he still sends his invitation. If that doesn't happen, when dawn breaks, Strahd appears and escorts them out of the castle. And then the gates are locked and he goes to lie down and rest through the rest of the day. If the PCs launch an attack during the day, All the vampiric elements of the castle will be asleep, but some of the other residents could run to alert Strahd that they're under attack. And if that happens, Strahd responds with maximum force. And then every night the castle opens back up. The PCs try to enter again and press their luck if they want, with the GM drawing cards again until they get the Dark Lord. And again, Strahd only kills one of them and lets the others go. And this continues through the week until the next Sunday. That is the actual horror, living under Strahd's rule, knowing that you can explore, you can push back, but that he is so powerful he can just sweep you aside until you become powerful enough that he can't. And the GM doesn't need to push the players along through all these locations to build up their power so they won't get TPK'd if they fight Strahd. Put him out there every week, up front, in the player's face, night after night. They should have to figure out when they are ready. They should have to come up with a plan. They should be debating whether tonight they search the spires or the larder, whether they can risk doing anything. They need to be afraid. That's the actual horror, the risk, the fear, that queasy feeling in your stomach when you're somewhere you're not supposed to be. Now we need to make a few adjustments to the castle, but not a lot. Again, I'm trying to do the minimum amount of change. Now, most of the random encounters are still good because they're focused on being creepy most of the time, but I would remove Strahd as the ultimate result since we're going to be doing the Taroka card thing. Just replace him with Escher, one of the vampire spawn I'm going to cover in a few minutes. But as an aside, before we get through here, um, they created these half CR Barovian witch monsters, and they're only in this castle and in the Amber Temple. This is like one of these head-scratching moments. Like, why would you do this? Why would you make such a weak monster and only put it in the two most challenging places on the map? They aren't even on random encounters on the road. You should definitely use this monster more effectively when running this module. I'd put them out all kinds of places. The underutilization of the actually good content in this module is just staggering. Anyway, the exterior areas are also going to be accessible, even on a lot of nights in the middle of the week, not just on the night with the Sunday dinner. So you want to emphasize that the windows are lit and that if the PCs climb up, they can see through them, but make them work hard to gather information on the layout so that when they are on the timer, they have the knowledge they need to make good choices. You want them to be waiting anxiously for Sunday dinner when they can sneak into a part of the castle that they've been scouting out by looking through the windows and moving around and maybe sketching things on a piece of paper. I mean, wow, think about that. Like, that would be crazy, right? Um, and there's so much unused verticality to this castle. Encourage the players to think outside the box, like dropping a rope down from one of the parapets. And as long as nobody notices it, they can use it to climb up during the day or the next night. Something like that would really change things and let them make decisions that have a real impact. Just use a simple D6 roll every night to determine if anyone on the staff notices a change. And if you get a 1, then they notice it and they fix it back. Otherwise, it just keeps enduring. And don't completely remove the elements that trap them here, like the dragons or the gargoyles. Just don't make them trap them. Use them to build tension, like having two of the dragons fighting over a rotting body part, or the gargoyles watching the PCs pass through the great entry and occasionally smiling at them. Have the real Strahd, not an illusion, manage the dinner in the dining hall, and maybe he spends 30 minutes after the meal playing the organ. And if you draw the illusionist card when someone's sneaking around the castle, have this organ start playing here for a few minutes and let them hear it echoing through the halls from wherever they actually are. And they wonder, is Strahd actually up and about looking around? Now, the icon of Ravenloft is in the original module, but this is the kind of thing I would move out into the world, probably somewhere like Valaki. It's really dangerous. If I was Strahd, I wouldn't want to keep this in my place. I'd have somebody throw it out somewhere. And that's what you need to do with all this extra space on the map, is take things like that that don't quite make sense and they're archaic from the original module and fix them. That's what you should do when you fix and expand and update a module. But there is a lot of good stuff here that makes sense if you're sneaking around and intending to leave, not here on your final raid to destroy Strahd for good. I would generally like reduce damage from some of the things, but make them draw extra cards from the deck when they make loud noises to represent Strahd kind of starting to figure out that they're walking around. I want to like see the players physically react when the GM describes a metal thing falling and clanking all over the ground. That's the kind of impact you want it to have. You can keep the heart largely as is. It's just be more vigilant about having the vampire spawn appear and attack as soon as any damage is dealt. You don't want the players to be sitting there cracking onto the heart and nobody shows up to fight them. But if the heart is destroyed and Strahd knows the players are responsible, I would kill more than just one PC that night. I would leave a few survivors, but I would have Strahd make them plead for their lives first and really be afraid that if they screw up one more time, he's gonna take them all out. And then the servants' quarters is where I would let the PCs rest for the night, each Sunday night. Make it so the furniture isn't destroyed, but make it old and cleaned half-heartedly by uncaring staff. You don't want it if Strahd's not trying to impress them. And then keep the flight of the vampire, but if they damage it or cut the wires or something, I would have Cyrus appear and demand compensation and then demand that they return to their rooms or leave the castle if it's not Sunday night. And I would keep Leaf the accountant largely the same as well. Let him summon assistance if he's threatened, and if he's killed, Strahd should exact vengeance. And Helga, the vampire spawn, should still plead for help and try to join the party and pretend to be just a person in need. And if they make a serious attempt to save her, let them smuggle her out of the castle. Let Strahd kind of arrange for it to go better than they could have gone otherwise. But have her report everything back to Strahd. And then whether they help her or not, if they don't figure out that she's a vampire spawn, hang her corpse prominently from the castle gate so that they see it next Sunday on their way to dinner. Strahd needs to be sending them messages like that, like, I'm watching you, I know what you did. Remember that none of these people, none of these monsters, none of these things mean anything to Strahd. They're all just tools. Now, in the dining hall, there's a cake with a groom figurine on it. And if they take that groom figurine off, I would definitely have it as written manifest as an invisible stalker and hunt them down and kill them and take the figurine back and then vanish. And the next time they come to the castle for Sunday dinner, the cake has somehow reformed and appears unchanged. And there's still a temptation there. Should you take it again? Will you still get the invisible stalker coming after you? Yes, you should. Similarly, if they take one of the books in Strahd's library, let them go. Let them take it. Let them sell it to a Vistani for a few dozen gold pieces. A Vistani eager to buy it because they think they're going to take this valuable tome to Strahd and curry some favor with him. And then hang that Vistani's corpse out on the castle gate next Sunday. The point is to keep building up fear. And now we're going to start getting into the parts of the castle that the PCs should be like working themselves up to visiting through several times. Let them find the treasury, but they can't open the door. And let them think hard on that for a long time, coming up with plans, thinking about what they might need. How could they get in here?
You think we need one more? You think we need one more?
And you should also leave Gertruda mostly intact. I would just roll a d6 every night. And on a 1 to 3, she's lying on the bed, face down, full dress, full makeup, but unconscious, bruising on her neck, unable to be roused even with magic. And on a 4 to 6, she is awake but dazed and has trouble making conversation and can't really pay attention. Make the PCs feel terrible for her. Use her as a way to show them what it's like to have a vampire feeding on you regularly. And if they do ever manage to get her out of here, at the next Sunday dinner, Strahd seats her at the table next to him. And she's very chatty and happy and glowing and admiring Strahd. And Strahd keeps making eye contact with the PCs to show them that he knows what they did and he can reverse it. And lots of the stuff in the castle makes sense as meaningful content while you're living in terror of Strahd. So that's why I think it's silly for it to be set up so that you almost have to be level 9 to come in here. The blood on the tub will creep people out. There's statues of fallen heroes that you can ask questions of. There's animated armor. There's a rogue of smothering. And anytime they permanently destroy something like this, something that Strahd would notice, I would remove a few cards from the deck. So they have less time. They have less ability to deceive him. He's getting more and more suspicious of them when they're in the castle. And Escher, the dashing vampire spawn shown in this picture, is desperate for Strahd's attention. That's as written. So let's lean into that. Let's make him a kiss ass and a suck up, and he reports the PCs to Strahd anytime they do something wrong. Anytime something goes off, he's right there. It's just an annoyance all the time. And if you draw the swashbuckler card as they move around the castle, have Escher's shrill voice ring out from a nearby room with him telling somebody that he just saw something moving over here and he wants to check it out, and make the PCs hide from him like a hall monitor in Hogwarts. And up in the spires, there are these cats that are familiars to the Barovian witches in the cauldron room. Don't put them all in one room. Let these cats roam around. Let them move them wherever you want. And if they spot the players, then you start drawing extra cards. And the witches are alerting Strahd in the background that someone's up here wandering where they shouldn't be. And the element room is great with all these glass containers holding various occult items and their footprints in the dust. It's all great stuff. It's basically meaningless to a ninth level war party that's coming in here to murder everyone. So it's a very evocative place to a fourth level party that's scared to death that somebody's going to come around the corner. So that's how you want to play these rooms. And crossing the bridge and climbing up to the high tower peak, that should be really exciting, really dramatic moments. And when they meet Piddlewick II, that's a chance for the PCs to make a friend, which is how they present him in the text, as a potential friend or enemy. And imagine if they build up rapport with this guy over time, but the whole time they're just terrified that if Strahd finds out, they're going to come here and they're going to find this guy smashed to bits and they're going to feel bad about him being destroyed. I mean, you want them to go from thinking of this guy as like an evil little demon thing. You want them to like have empathy for him, and then when they see Strahd just smash him to bits, then they're sad. Like that's how you want to play it. And then there's the elevator trap going down into the larders of ill omen. This fits perfectly into my Taroka cycle. You step in this thing and the doors slam shut and you have a limited amount of time to get out, and then you're trapped. So anyone who does escape can try to sneak back away, pulling Taroka cards as they go, but Strahd is drawn to any PCs trapped inside, taking them prisoner, making them into vampire spawn, and then bringing them to the next Sunday dinner. And the players have to watch their old PCs show up in fine clothes and sit through the meal and have a grand time, knowing that they're lost to evil forever. I would also keep Cyrus Bellevue, the mongrel man, pretty much as is. He pretends to be helpful and then he tries to trigger the elevator trap and catch everybody. And there's other stuff here too that's really great. Like you can have the PCs find the dragon skull and realize they can't possibly move it at that time without being detected. And they're sitting there watching the Taroka cards flip away, and they're like, okay, we're going to have to come back and figure out what to do about this. And so they leave and they start planning an elaborate heist to come and get this skull so that they can put it in Argynvostholt and free everybody. And like they make it into like a heist movie. Like this is how you build it up. Like, and they should be scared of getting caught the whole time. And this is the kind of thing that disgusts me so much in this module, that they have all of this raw material, all of these great things with almost no mechanical elements, no tension building in the design framework, nothing to support the GM in delivering this stuff aside from big box text for you to read. There's way more than just reading box text. There needs to be actual things that the GM can do to build the tension. Anyway, So the Chamberlain of the castle is this guy named Rahaden. He's a dusk elf. He's an annoying hall monitor type guy. But if you do the Taroka thing where they have a certain amount of time to explore, they could kind of like try to corner this guy in his office and kill him. And if they get rid of him or hide the body, maybe Strahd doesn't even know what happened. And at some point, Strahd's like, "Hey, you guys know anybody who could be my Chamberlain?" And then there's kind of like a, should we trust him? Should we not? How should we handle this? And then play that out. It is, Strahd's above dealing with this kind of petty stuff, so he sees these people as just servants. Maybe he wants the PCs to bring him somebody. Add a whole new level to the diplomacy sneaking around thing. Um, that's really all in the upper levels of the castle. But underneath, there's these dungeon levels, which should mostly remain as is. The real challenge being getting in and out without being detected. And there are prisoners here, like Emil the werewolf, and rescuing him should be very difficult. And you should be able to like add new prisoners down here based on who gets caught and or punished by Strahd for various activities. And it will build a lot of tension with the players, knowing that there are NPCs down here just hoping to be rescued in time, and eventually you find them hanging from the gatehouse. The brazier room also connects to the Taroka timer because you can throw a stone into the fire and then teleport to a variety of locations, even outside of the castle. So you could be very close to discovery by Strahd, running away from Escher, whatever, and you throw a stone into the fire and you jump from here to the coffin maker shop in Valaki. And there's also these catacombs containing 40 different crypts, each of which is creepy in its own way. Some contain dangers that might be too much for the party. But if they sneak all the way down here and they run into something that kills them, I'm actually okay with that. They press their luck too far. I'm not going to go through each one of those crypts. Maybe they should be afraid of going down into the crypts. That maybe that's what they need to be ninth level to do. But at the end of that, there's Strahd's tomb, and he has 3 brides here, and they're just written like monsters. They attack anybody who approaches his coffin. Um, and there's a description of their clothing and their jewelry, but that's it. It's like that's what's such a total waste of great, the brides of Dracula kind of trope, and they just waste it here as just monsters that are defending a crypt. You should definitely have these brides show up at every meal, every Sunday night, and be courteous but distant, and use them as a way to show the sadness and the horror of eternal marriage to Strahd. This is why you have to save Irina, not because somebody asked you to, not because they told you, hey, if you don't do this, something bad will happen, but because you're seeing here the bad thing. You're seeing the fate that awaits Irina. This is the reason why you want to protect her, to save her from Strahd, not because her brother is asking you to do it. So with these changes, there's really not that much. You should be able to run Castle Ravenloft as an actually scary place, consistently, week by week, as they rise up slowly to ninth level. And let this place cast a cruel shadow throughout the entire module. Oh wait, there's one more thing. At the end of every session, give one player basic guidelines for a new character, a halfling druid maybe, or a human ranger, something that you think they don't normally play, that it's not really their ideal character. And then have that character show up in the Blood of the Vine Tavern at the next session, confused, lonely. Let that character get kicked around by the world. Have the Vistani drinking and laughing and telling stories about how they tricked them, or they stole from them, or they beat them up, and show that character struggling just to kind of make it. And then when, not if, when Strahd kills a PC, not only should you force them to bury the fallen in a dramatic scene, but Strahd should attend the funeral and remark about how pleasing it is that one more soul has joined the valley forever. And then make the player choose from one of the lost PCs to carry on as their character. This loss of control is the most severe form of horror you can inflict on an average D&D player. Do you have the courage to do that? Can you take that risk? Think about in your mind how right now you're like, whoa, that would be a serious thing. That is the horror facing the role-playing game player. So anyway, that's all I have to say about Curse of Strahd. I hope you enjoyed this series. Chubby Funster out.